Let's fight. A good evening to each and every one of you. Whether you're joining us this evening on Twitter, you're joining us on Facebook, you're joining us on YouTube, you're a tuber. We welcome you in the ring this evening. Let's fight. Quite a program for you, lots of information to share. We didn't get a chance to touch our hot topics last evening. We had the leader of the opposition from St. Vincent and the Grenadines with us, and so we suspended our hot topics for the evening. But tonight, quite a bit of information to go through with you, and we're going to be joined by a couple guests during the course of the evening. How are you guys doing? Hope you guys have had a good day at work. You earned that salary, you earned that wage, you earned that pay, and so you can receive it at the end of the week or the month with integrity. Some of you guys are still at work and viewing us. Some of you are home, relaxing on the couch on your cell phones, on your smart television, on your big back TV, perhaps with some connection to get this a live stream on social media. Wherever and however you guys are joining us, we thank you for spending this time with us each and every evening. Ringsiders, how are you doing? We know our faithful fans who are usually here with us every evening, and every evening paying the price of admission, which is sharing the live stream. We see Nadia Seaford is already there, and Marilyn Mingo, and Pauline Holder, and Jennifer Daniels, and Denise Ned. Lynette Goodman is there, and Olive Phillips. All of our favorite folks. Isola Allen is there as well, Trisha Williams, and Mark Allman, Joan Robertson. All of the guys are there. And folks, I am going to be sharing the live stream a few places as well, so that I am also paying the price of admission. I'm also going to be paying the price of admission, folks. So let me hope that the dual phone here is working well. Let me hope so. Let me hope so. Let me hope so. That the piece of phone working well. So I'm about to share two places, and guys, as you share as well, we come back quickly and we get to going. All right, let me see what's happening here. Apparently tonight is not one of those nights when the phone is operating so smartly. It's a Samsung Galaxy, as one person used to say. The Samsung Galaxy. Depends on which school you went to, I figure. Sharing the live stream with my end, folks. All right, looks as though I'm good to go. How are you guys doing there? How are you guys doing out there? Good to see all of you. Almost where we need to be. Almost where we need to. Oh, the share is looking good, man. The share is looking nice. Got to share a couple of places, folks. And then we are right with you guys. All right, we're almost there. These guys are going to help us to share this thing some other places as well. Not looking too shabby. And one more to go. Share, folks. I like that. I'm seeing so many shares. Thank you, guys. I'm very, very heartened by that. Very, very heartened by that. All right, one other place I need to touch, and then we got to go. One other place I need to share there. Then we're cooking with gas. All right, the shares are looking good, folks. The shares are looking good. The shares are looking good. All right, and we are very, very pressed for time this evening. Very, very pressed for time. Good to see all of you out there. All right, I'm almost ready. Give me a second. Let me make sure. All right, that looks good there. Guys, thanks for joining us. It means the world to us. As we always say here, that we value you guys. We value this time you share with us. We see value in you, and we hope that, and we know that there's something of value that you see in this program, In the Ring, and that is why you join us night after night, where we promote the truth and we defend the facts. Thanks for joining us once more, folks. Let's touch on some of these hot topics that we have. Quite a bit and quite a bit to share with you guys. Are you guys ready? I am quite ready to go. And let's start with the installed, fraudulent, illegal administration. Folks, let us start there this evening. Let us start there. And we hope that as you join the live stream, you as well, Filio, Asang, and Marcus, Blue, and Desiree, and Albert, Morgan, Coretta Braffit, and um, Thomasina, Ben, and Brenda Braffit, and Diane Fordyce, and Nadia are all going to share this live stream. Those of you guys who are joining us on Twitter, you guys are going to give us a retweet, and all the folks joining us on YouTube, you guys are going to help us along as well, paying the cost of admission, sharing the live stream, folks. We're so happy and tremendously privileged that you're here with us. Let's start with the fraudulent catfish administration this evening. And folks, as you know, we've been chronicling here in the ring the fact that these guys have been stealing project after project for the Avenue AFC and calling it theirs. Project after project. And we've been chronicling them here for you. We saw an airstrip, quite recently being, commissioned by Mr. The Bishop. And we know that they ain't coming in a couple of months and, tender for an airstrip and build an airstrip and refurbish or what have you. Right? These are our projects, but they have no shame. And so we keep seeing this all of the time, folks. They have no shame whatsoever. So we saw that and we called them out on it. And then we saw a hospital in Region 2 that was already handed over under the Avenue AFC administration by the then Finance Minister, Winston Felix. That was recommissioned by Frank Anthony because, you see, they don't have any ideas. They don't have any projects of their own. And so we saw this being recommissioned. We saw also the Ogle, or rather the East Bank to Ogle Road, or the Ogle to East Bank Road, being co-opted by them as their project. Right? And shortly you will see them bold faces as ever, cutting ribbon to open this road. But again, you ain't coming in 2-3 months and do that whole stretch of road. Did feasibility studies, all of the other studies that are necessary for a project of that magnitude, and contract for that road and build it in a couple of months. No way. Right? We have, David Patterson, former Minister of Infrastructure, to thank for that. But they're shameless. And so they've coveted this project of their own. We've also opened, for instance, many radio stations across this country, but more particularly in Essequibo. All right, and I'm showing you guys the pictures because there we have, for you to see, it was His Excellency David Arthur Granger, it was the Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu, and Enrico Wolford, who was the head, then CEO of NCN, who opened that radio station there in Essequibo, right? But the project thieves ain't got no shame, folks, right? The trench crappers have no shame, folks. And so we see them quite recently, right? Kwame McCoy and team, again commissioning this radio station in Essequibo because they have no shame. This is just this week. So you understand why we call them project thieves when we do, because they come with no original ideas whatsoever, right? Whatsoever. And hanging on to all of the Avenue AFC projects and coveting them as their own. And I understand that you're going to have PPP's supporters on this live broadcast in the chat sections. We welcome them, right? And they're going to be spewing all manner of fake news and propaganda. But folks, facts are very, very stubborn things. So we call to the attention of the public, when you see the likes of Kwame McCoy, right? When you see the likes of Mr. McCoy claiming that they're opening radio stations in Essequibo. These things were already done under the APNU AFC. But again, no vision, no plans, right? No outlook for the future. And so we understand why they're doing what they think they have to do. They're thieves by nature. They are thieves by nature. And so they are continuing what they know how to do. Right? They are continuing what they know how to do. Folks, let us turn our attention to COVID-19. As you know, on almost every program, we talk about COVID-19. Almost every program. And the COVID cash grant leaves little to be desired. The COVID cash grant leaves little to be desired as regards its distribution. Because you and I know that so many of you have been left holding those pink slips. And they claim that they are now coming around to the pink slips. And now when some people are approached or are approaching the persons who are supposedly back in the streets sharing out COVID cash grants, they're being told that their names weren't on the list. But we understand how this could happen because, again, right here on this program, we have said to you guys that people keep finding these green receipts, right? By the dozens, by the scores, by the hundreds, dumped. So the cash grant people collecting the money and giving pink slips. So we are following this. But more than that, folks, as regards the COVID vaccine, we were made to understand quite recently. That the vaccines were being shared out, or are being shared out rather, on the East Coast. And the PPP seem to have a particular preference for only those communities that traditionally vote PPP in terms of the distribution of not only COVID cash grant, but also the vaccination. They are those who call the PPP racist. Well, they must know what they're talking about. I was made to understand that the vaccines were recently being distributed at Annandale, at a bottom house in Annandale. I was reliably informed that Frank Anthony was there, and Frank Anthony instructed that no one under 40 should be receiving the vaccine at this time. No one under 40. No sooner did Frank leave, Anil showed up and declared that his people under 40 got to get the vaccine, and passed different instructions. Folks, I don't know why Frank Anthony is the I-pass. I don't know why. Because Frank got the most votes. At one of these internal elections. Frank got the most votes at one of these internal elections of the PPP. So really and truly, Frank should have been presidential candidate, and, as fate would have it, he should have been president by now. But Frank is always being left back and at the back of the pack. So we were made to understand that Frank issued one instruction at this bottom house in Annandale. And then the Chatri came and issued different instructions after Frank would have left. Right? But we understand that, again, Annandale has received vaccinations, Better Hope, has received vaccinations. Monrepo has received vaccination. And other communities along the East Coast, as I've said, traditionally vote for the PPP. Traditionally vote for the PPP. Right? The other thing that is of note here, we were made to understand that in terms of what they call the efficacy of the vaccination, of the vaccines, right? Among the lot that are on the local market for distribution, the Sputnik vaccine, this is a Russian vaccine, is perhaps the best of the set. That is what, according to reports that I have, you might argue differently. And the AstraZeneca vaccine is not so efficient or efficacious. And we are made to understand that it is the Sputnik vaccine that is being distributed in these predominantly PPP-leaning communities, right? And we are reliably informed that they have gone back to some of these villages along the East Coast, Better Hope, Monrepo, and so forth, Annandale, several times. Now, why is this government like this, ladies and gentlemen? Why is this government like this? Right? Why are they like this? And I hope that is a question that you and I can answer at the end of the day. And as we run COVID, we have observed by now that this is an administration, an installed catfish administration that says one thing and does something else. It has very, very poor policies in terms of COVID measures. And when there are regulations and measures, they are not enforced in any meaningful way. And I want to turn your attention to what has been happening outside of the Passport and Immigration Office, right? And this video is from Gordon Mosley, journalist Gordon Mosley, which shows clearly that we're talking about COVID-19, but we aren't really and truly serious about COVID-19. And I'm about to bring one of my guests on. We're talking about COVID-19, but we aren't serious about COVID-19, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking the talk, but we are not walking the walk. Right? And before I bring my guests on, because when we play the videos and we have the guests on, sometimes we have some feedback. So let me play this other video for you. And we will come back to this conversation on COVID-19, ladies and gentlemen, in just a few minutes. But we observed as well, outside of this, the treatment of a woman who was using public transportation quite recently. Oh my God, the minibus driver abused this woman. And I want us to touch on this as well when my guest is here. So let me bring this to you, and then we'll have some commentary on it on the other side. Folks, there you have it. And I want to welcome my guest this evening. Let me just make sure I'm set here. Yep. I want to welcome my guest this evening, the one and only Member of Parliament, Mr. Ganesh Mahi Paul. Ganesh, welcome.
Good night, Sherrod. Good night to all your viewers and listeners. Let me take the opportunity in extending Navratri greetings to our Hindu brothers and sisters. And I know that tomorrow, the month of Ramadan is expected to begin. So, to my Muslim brothers and sisters, I say Ramadan Mubarak to you too.
Fantastic, Ganesh. Fantastic. Let's talk about the second video that was shown there first. This is public transportation in our country. This driver is so obdurate and so ignorant, quote unquote, ignorant, the way we use it as a Guyanese derogatory term. It's so ignorant. I mean, can you imagine this is public transportation in this country? Can you imagine that a man, a bus driver, would treat a passenger in this way, a female passenger?
It is my belief, Sherrod, that the Guyana Police Force, once it becomes an organization that is fully independent, and independent in the sense that political interference is removed from it, and the officers are allowed to pursue higher education so that they can become more educated and academically inclined to understanding society and the manner in which society operate. And when they function, they must function with the ability to treat everyone equal. Then we are likely to see an improved society. So what we have seen there in that video with the bus driver and the bus conductor basically abusing that passenger by
Mhm.
way of they abused her verbally, they
Mhm.
abused her physically, they abused her psychologically, and in order to eradicate those kinds of behavior, which not only occur at the level of the traveling population in public transportation, but all around our society, we have gone back to the state of broken society. And I believe that if we are to have a proper Guyana police force to enforce the law equally across the board, then it will force citizens to comply, and it will force citizens to recognize that they have to behave in a manner that is basically normal. And I say that to say this also. Not only does it require a better police force, but I do believe that a police force will move us faster and create an environment where we can coexist easier and in normal circumstances. But we need to have better institutions that can service all our people. So we need to strengthen our institutions where the service providers provide service in a manner that can cause people to have smiles on their
Yeah,
faces, that can
yeah,
cause people to say thank you, that can cause people to go public and say they had a good service at this area or that
yeah,
area. So
yeah,
when you talk about improving the service, you have to look at it from a twofold operation. The first is the Guyana Police Force has to enforce rules and regulations and has to ensure that people comply. So when that lady goes to the police station, she must be treated in a manner where she feels comfortable, where she doesn't
oh
have
yes,
to
yeah,
worry as to
yeah,
whether this individual can come to attack her again, or whether she would have to wonder if she's a target. The police
yeah,
must create that environment of hope for
yeah,
her. So
yeah,
the place where you go to seek refuge, or the place where you go to make your complaint, or the place where you go to get the issue addressed, it must be a place that is conducive. It must be a place that is applicable and a place that is welcoming. And
yeah.
then you
And
have the
Ganesh, you're
other
so
side
right.
of
Yeah,
the coin. Then you have the other side of the coin, which requires the service providers to provide a good service, and they have to be facilitated by the government of the day, who is responsible to ensure that they strengthen the operations of the service agency. And by virtue of that, the people who are delivering the services. So, strengthening the public service is very important so that the service providers can provide good service to the people who are going there seeking a service.
And Ganesh, I tend to think that the public takes their cue from the leadership demonstrated by the government. And even though this driver tried to snatch this woman's cell phone and by virtue of even that assaulted her, I was very happy that she had her cell phone, because could you imagine her going to the police without the video, right? And them saying that no assault happened because they don't see, right? Could you imagine two of the bus passengers giving a statement and then they say, well, we can't do anything here because there's no evidence to suggest. Because we see this operating, for instance, at the highest level, the parliament quite recently.
Yes, I remember a time I was traveling in public transportation, and I had to come off at a particular area. But because police was at that area, the bus driver took another route. And when the bus driver went around the other route, they dropped me off somewhere else. Some people say route, some say route. I say route. And they dropped me off somewhere else. And I refused to pay him. I said, I'm not
Mhm.
paying for this because you did not drop me where I have to go. You have
Yeah.
left me to walk, and I had to walk to where I had to go. And instead, he verbally assaulted me, and I walked straight to the Lenora police station, and I made a complaint, and the police dealt with the matter. So I must say that you do have some courteous officers
Yeah.
in the Guyana Police
Yeah.
Force who treat their job with the sanctity it deserves. But it comes back to what you are rightfully saying. The woman had her concrete proof of what happened there. Because I even saw in the video that the young man, the conductor, was saying his soldier is in the front seat. Now I don't know
Mhm.
what he was insinuating, or if he
Mhm.
was if he was really indicating that that's a police officer, or if that is somebody that can save him and he can't get into trouble. But that is the kind of attitude that we have to take away from people in our society. And the David Granger administration started the course of ensuring that we have a fixed and standard public service. The David Granger administration was heading in that direction, where
Yeah.
you would have uniformity and conformity to the laws of this land. It isn't wouldn't of course 5 years could not have made it happen. Even
Yeah.
10 years would not make it happen. But you must lay the foundation. You must have the foundation solid. And
Yeah.
part of that foundation was to go ahead with the Bertram Collins College of the Public Service, where public servants had to go there for grassroots training in bettering themselves in the public service
Yeah.
before they
Yeah.
go and work in the public service to deliver
Right.
that service. And I'm
Yeah.
sure we would have reached to the stage, I am sure that we would have reached to the stage where the bus conductors, they would have all had to be uniformed, they would have had to dress decent, they would have been
Yeah. We
able
were
to
heading there. We were heading there.
yes, they would have been able to participate in some training courses so that they can learn to be courteous. Manners make it man. We were heading in the direction of having uniformity in terms of our drivers so that you can easily point out who's a driver or who's a conductor. We were looking at the direction of probably having a uniform service when it comes to the identifying a public transportation versus a public transportation. And that direction, Sherrod, would have had so many benefits to the people of our country.
Yeah.
So, kidnapping, for
Rightly so.
example, kidnapping could have easily been reduced with that kind of action because a
Police seem to be
passenger
more
would easily
professional
know.
8 months ago.
Yes, definitely. That it comes back to that. But one has to look at the amount of relief that one can get out of a single action. and
Yeah.
look at it with a distant eye, not with a short eye, short-sighted. You cannot look at this development for this country as a 5-year program or as a 10-year program. It must be a program that can build on each other. So what you did here today in this year, it must be able to give you an effect, a positive
Yeah.
effect in the
Yeah.
years to come. It must not be short-sighted. And the difference with the coalition from the PPP is that the PPP is short-sighted when it comes to development. And a simple and clear example is their infrastructure. Look at
Yeah.
what kind of bridges they are building. They are focusing on building wooden bridges. Most of their bridges are wooden bridges. The coalition, we built reinforced concrete bridges because we do not want to come back to that area where you put down a wooden bridge. We want to know that when we give you a structure, it is one that can take years, lifetime to go, and you
Yeah.
can move to
Correct.
another area and give them the same kind of service.
Yeah.
But I think, Sherrod, a lot of Guyanese have recognized and agree that the coalition is deeply missed. And I think the
Correct.
PPP is every
Correct.
day saying to the world that the coalition is deeply missed and the coalition needs to come back to office. The
Yeah.
coalition will come back to office. The coalition was never
And
legally
Danish,
put out of office.
I'm very happy that you mentioned that because it takes us into our another story for this evening that the coalition is missed. We saw this evening this party called TCI, the Citizen Initiative, who seem to have just woken up, and they are talking about COVID-19, and they are asking the government, for instance, to take back the curfew from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sorry, from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And this was done on the coalition. So I feel you when you say that the coalition is deeply missed. I feel you, Danny.
Definitely. The coalition, everybody is seeing it. You have issues that are reigning in all over this country. There are issues, and the PPP seems to not get a grip of it. Look at what happened at the UN. They went and voted against
Yeah.
anti-racism, against fixing and curbing and reducing racism. They said no to that.
Because
They
that's the truth.
voted,
That is how they feel.
and then they want to tell us that it was what a mistake. But Carlin Rodriguez Burkett never accepted that it was a mistake in her statement. She said
Correct.
plainly and straightly that they did not do it. So she lied to the Guyanese people. And we
Correct.
as Guyanese must take heed of these kinds of actions. She lied to us. She lied to us, and because of that, she is not fit and proper to be in office. She should resign. We had the Taiwan issue. You thought should
Yes.
have gone home a long time now.
Yeah.
So it comes back to the whole aspect of who has the country's best interest at heart versus who has their own interests at heart. And I think evidence are overwhelming as it relates to the answer as to who has the country at heart. And people will agree with me that the APNU AFC was heading in a direction of prosperity, a direction of development, a direction of peace, love, and harmony for our people, and a direction to move our country in a way where our children and grandchildren would have benefited significantly. But I always tell people, don't lose hope.
Yeah.
The button is currently on pause. The remote button is on pause. And when that pause button is removed, the coalition will return in full strength and glory, and we will continue to build on our legacy of developing
Yeah.
this country for the benefit
Yeah.
of everyone, including people from the People's Progressive Party. We will not sideline anybody. We will not look at color. We have not been doing that, and we will continue along that line. We are a coalition of people for the people, and we
Yeah.
were elected by the people to serve the people, and that is exactly what we will continue to do, even in
Yeah.
opposition.
Yeah. And again, I'm very happy you say how the coalition is missed because we got a lot of people, folks who view this program, who come as ringsiders to listen and to see what is happening. And they're going to spout all kinds of misinformation on this chat, the comment section. But they're going to show up tomorrow nonetheless Why? Because I believe you've hit the nail on the head. They missed the coalition.
Yes, the coalition is deeply missed. Everybody knows that. At the regional administration of Region 3, there is a situation there where a young lady was
I was
tested
coming there.
positive for COVID, where
Mhm.
a young lady was tested positive for COVID-19. And I personally called the regional chairman and I said to him that you have a staff there that is COVID positive, and the other staff are very worried and they
Yeah,
will like to know what is the position with the administrator pertaining
yeah,
to everybody getting a COVID test. He assured me that they are going to go down that line of testing everybody. Unfortunately, on Friday, everybody was not tested. So on Sunday, I made a post on Facebook about it, and I also expressed my dissatisfaction with the manner in which they are treating our citizenry reference to COVID-19 and the seriousness of this deadly infection. It is as though when people die, they don't have no feelings for them or they don't have any care. They just want their work to be done. And I made a big hullabaloo about it on social media. I even
as you have
tagged
a
my
right
good
to.
friend. I even tagged my good friend Priya Manikchan in it and Deodat Indar. And I said to them that they are responsible too because Priya Manikchan is the member of parliament for Region 3. Deodat Indar lives in Region 3. So they must
Mhm.
be equally involved and they must
Yeah.
equally have and they must equally take responsibility for the
No,
actions of
in
their
that too
installed
busy building
REO.
that new big house on the PP administration. He's too busy building
And
that
they
big
must
house.
take responsibility for their installed REO.
Yeah,
And on Monday, yesterday, everybody was sent to get tests. So these people are not operating with conscience. They are not
yeah, and
operating
integrity.
with the feeling of good conscience and integrity. They are operating based on our opposition to them. So once we skin them up, once we expose them, once we
Thing
put
you
the
can do
issue
quick.
out, then is when they act. And that is totally wrong, especially in
Yeah,
this COVID-19
and that
pandemic.
is because
The
Ganesh they do not have a
COVID-19,
vision.
exactly. The COVID-19 pandemic is deadly. There is no if, buts, or in between about that. Whether it is 0.01% in terms of the amount of people that die, nobody should have died of COVID-19. But unfortunately, we have people who are dying. But
Yeah,
why we have people that are dying is because of the simple, inept behavior and the simple donkey damn nature of the
yeah,
People's Progressive
yeah,
Party. We have
yeah,
people dying at an alarming rate in this
yeah.
country. We
Yeah,
must bear
and
in
that is why
mind.
TCI has come out of their slumber now, to come to the APNU AFC's position that they have to have a longer curfew period among other measures. They just wake up. They just wake up after being in bed with the PPP. They just wake up, and that is the tragedy.
Exactly. And we have to recognize, Sherrod, that the People's Progressive Party seems not to care about COVID-19.
That's
Perhaps
because they
maybe if
don't.
one of them, maybe one of them who's very close to the political party, should one of them die, and God forbid, because I wish death unto no one. But
Yeah,
maybe, just maybe, in case one of them pass away, then maybe they will take it seriously. And God forbid it should be someone who's very close and in depth to them and their political ideology. Then maybe then they will take it seriously. But right now they're not taking it seriously, and it's hurting our citizenry. It is hurting our
yeah.
country. It is hurting our nation, and people are
Ganesh,
crying for better measures.
and better leadership. And Ganesh, as you're there, let me inform those Guyanese at home and in the diaspora that when the PPP installed administration took government on August 2nd, we had 21 deaths. Today, we're over 270. We're somewhere closer to 80, if not over. We're somewhere there. And
And
there was, yeah, go ahead,
when we
Ganesh.
had the 21 deaths, it was very worrying for us. We were
Yes.
very concerned. We
Yeah. And the
wanted to know
PPP,
what
the
is
customary.
happening, and
The
we were
PPP, the
reaching.
customary every day
Yes,
and had their own parallel COVID task force,
and
right?
we were
Now,
reaching
yeah,
regularly, trying to
yeah,
iron out ways and means of how We are going to reduce the debt from
yeah,
21. We didn't want it. We did not
yeah,
reduce it from 21, reduce it so it doesn't increase at an alarming rate. It
correct,
was already
correct,
at 21.
correct.
And the thing
And now
is, we had
every day now,
regional
two,
task
three, four
force.
persons dying. Yeah,
Yes, we had regional task force that were mandated to ensure that their regions take
oh
COVID-19
yes,
precautions. In Region 3, we had testing sites at Vreeden Hoop. We had a testing site at the Demerara Harbour Bridge. We had a testing site at the Parika Stelling. We had a sanitizing area at those areas that I mentioned there too. We were taking COVID-19 seriously.
yeah,
And that is why you only saw 21 deaths, and even 21 is too much. And that is why
yeah.
we were so rigorous in terms of how we were
Now we
dealing
have
with COVID
now we have
19.
over
But if
270
21
Ganesh.
if
We have over
21 is too
270.
much,
Yeah,
if 21 is too much, what is 270? You
yeah,
have caused pain and suffering on 200 on the families of 270 people.
correct.
Not just
Ganesh, in
270
addition to
people.
that, Ganesh, in addition to that, on August 2nd, there were 474 confirmed cases. Today, there are over 11,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19. And I am saying that I believe strongly that those numbers are being fiddled with. I believe it is far more than that because, as you said just now, I am receiving reports of teachers who are COVID positive because they're in the community sharing out booklets and all kinds of things. There are folks at the airport from immigration who called me and said that lots of staff have contracted COVID-19. There are people at the passport office who said every day 200 Guyanese come to the passport office and lots of staff there as well are COVID positive. And I'm getting lots of other information where staff at ministries are COVID positive and the government is doing nothing about it. So I believe strongly that those numbers are very, very conservative figures because they're doctoring the numbers.
I agree with you, Sherrod. I agree with you fully. But I wanted to talk a little bit about that same Facebook post I made. I don't know if you
All
would
right
like
ahead,
me to
Ganesh. Go
go
right
into it
ahead.
right now because
Yeah,
I'm looking at your
yeah.
time also.
Yes, yes,
When I
Ganesh. I
made
know you had a lot of worries there in Region 3. Tell us about that.
when I made the Facebook post concerning the COVID-19 and the behavior of the REO in Region 3, there is a young lady by the name of Anjani Sibaran. And Miss Anjani Sibaran is the coordinator of the distribution of the COVID-19 cash grant in this region. And Anjali Sibaran took to my Facebook page, my post, and made a comment. And she said in her comment that I collected 4 envelopes, that the records are showing that I collected 4 envelopes. And then she said, well, your ID card was used 4 times for the COVID-19 cash grant to
Mhm,
collect. That was very shocking to me. Now, if
mhm.
anybody else had made that comment, I would have said, this is just wickedness on the person. But the
Uh-huh.
fact that it came from the coordinator of the activity, and the
Yeah,
coordinator is saying that there are records to show
yeah,
that my ID was used 4 times, is confirmation that
yeah,
the activity is fraudulent, something
yeah,
that we have been
yeah,
saying for the
yeah.
longest while.
From
We have
the inception.
always we have always said that the COVID-19 cash grant distribution is riddled with fraud. We have
Yeah.
oftentimes said that
The
more than
president
one
started the
envelope are
president
going
started
to.
a forensic audit of the cash grant and the distribution, but we don't know the findings yet.
Exactly. So when she put that out, I took the initiative of reporting the matter to the Auditor General because
Mhm.
I did not collect not a single envelope. I didn't collect the one
Yeah,
that I'm entitled to, much less the 4 that she's saying the records are showing that
yeah,
I have collected. So I wrote the Auditor General requesting an investigation. I said to the Auditor General that the young lady is claiming that the records are showing that my ID was used 4 times to collect 4 envelopes. That amounts to fraud. And
yeah,
I'm requesting an investigation. I also visited the Lagrange police station and I made a report of the situation because I want
Yeah.
my name to be cleared. I
Very
also
well.
took it upon myself to prepare my own statement in this regard, and I snapshot the post and the comments, and I printed it out, took it to the police station, and I submitted the evidence along with my statement. I need my name to be cleared, and I
And
want to know.
this is how members of this activity, the coordinator giving out information, who get money, who didn't get money. I mean, honestly, this is how the program is being managed.
No, but it's more than just who got money and who did not get
Yeah,
money. She said that the records are showing
correct.
that I got four
So the
times.
records have been falsified. Everything about this matter is
And
very, very
she
suspicious. Yeah,
and she is the coordinator, so she has access to the records.
yeah.
So
And she would know who signed those monies over to you.
I need her to
Quote
release
unquote. Yeah,
those information.
correct.
I need her to
Correct. You're damn
release
right.
those information, and I need to know who is impersonating me. Because if
Yes.
the person that they distributed, they had different teams in different areas, and they
Yeah,
would have known which village my ID card was used.
correct.
And if the
Who else being
coordinator is
impersonated?
saying
That's another question. Yep.
if the coordinator is saying that there are four, that the records are showing that my ID card was used four times, then we need to know which village it was used. Was it used, was the ID card used at the same village four times, different villages four times, different street? The people who administered this activity, they also sign on the paper. So if it was you, Sherrod Duncan, that
Yeah.
signed as one of the person who walked about distributing, then she must align where my ID card to the you was used to the person
Yeah.
that distributed the money.
Correct.
I want them to find the area where my ID card was used. I was
Yeah.
impersonated. I have never collected any envelopes, left alone
Two of us.
four. And the
Two of us.
fact
Yeah.
that Anjani Sibaran, who is the coordinator of the activity in Region 3, can say publicly that Ganesh Mahipal's ID card was used four times to uplift COVID-19 distribution funds, 25,000 in each envelope. That is fraud, and I need my
Yeah.
name to be clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
And
Mr. Brown
tomorrow I'm
sounds like
slated
a
to
very, very
reach tomorrow.
suspicious character.
If I say, if I may say, tomorrow I'm slated to reach with the CID department, the Criminal Investigation Department at Ivlery there, where I was asked to go and see a specific CID officer. I will do such. I need my name to be cleared, Sherrod. I cannot
Yeah.
acknowledge and allow. I cannot allow this to go off like that. Miss Sibaran, since her post, did not clarify, did not attempt to say that it is untrue, did not
It's an
attempt to
error.
even
Yeah.
make a hard comment. She left it as is. It is still on my page. People are still viewing it. And
Yeah.
what it is reflecting is as though
Slander
I
libel. Yeah.
collected four envelopes.
Yeah.
What it is
That's
doing
slander
is
libel.
reflecting as though I collected four envelopes. This matter is not going to go down like that because she's not. If she, let me be honest with you, if she accepts and say that she was mischievous and her post was erroneous or her comment was erroneous,
Yeah.
if she accepts that, then I can understand her being mischievous. And if she apologizes, then fine. We're going to
Yeah.
move forward. But she's not doing that.
Yeah.
She is
She's
not
being
doing that.
accurate.
She has
Yeah.
left that post there. So it could be that she is speaking with veracity. It could
Yeah.
be that she is
Yeah.
speaking with
Yeah.
authority.
The public
Because
would
as
the
the
public would infer
coordinator,
that because she's the coordinator. Yeah.
yes, as the coordinator who has access to all the documents and who has access to the record. And if she is saying that the record is showing that Mahipal's ID was used four times, and I have put up on Facebook that wrote the Auditor General on the matter, that I reported the matter to the police station, that
Yeah.
I'm going to the Criminal Investigation Department, and I am showing this
Jinky.
passion to exonerate myself, to take my name out of this allegation. I am
Yeah.
doing all of this publicly in an attempt, I'm doing it in an attempt to give her the chance to clear it
To
too.
correct herself.
So
Yeah.
she is in a
To correct herself.
position,
Yes.
yeah, she is in a position to say whether it is true or not. She is in a position to say she was being mischievous, if she was being erroneous, if she was being
Yeah.
wicked. She's in a
Yeah.
position to say that, and she's now in a
Or
position to
all the
say
above.
sorry. But she
Correct.
has not done that. And because she has not done that, it's a clear indication, in my view, that she was speaking with veracity, she was speaking with authority, she was speaking with proof, and there is record to show that my ID was used
Yeah.
4 times.
Nonsense.
How
The
I
nonsense
view it.
must stop.
So it gives me
The
now
nonsense
the
must stop.
momentum. It gives me the momentum to continue to seek justice for my good name and see who were the persons that impersonated me.
The culprits. Ganesh, as we're on that, or as we're on COVID-19, what I say next could be placed on the Ghana is not a real place. So a man died from COVID-19. The hospital give the family the wrong body, right? And now the folks are very, very upset, right? Man who died from COVID-19, according to newsroom, buried by wrong family. Other family seeks exhumation, right? And I'm advised that it was Wazim Ray Ramjatan who died from COVID-19. And Intiaz Umar is the family who would have buried the wrong body. Guyana is not a real place. I mean, this is the healthcare system under the People's Progressive Party, Civic.
It's sad indeed. And you know how much trauma you can put a family through?
Yeah,
Imagine you
yeah,
go for your loved one and then you end up collecting someone else. It's a
yeah.
lot of trauma you can put people through. But Sharad, if I may just introduce a new topic to your program.
Go right ahead,
I mean,
Ganesh.
it's in the ring, but it's your program. But I want to introduce a new
Out your
topic
punches.
for your discussion. Um, as you know, Christopher Jones, through his attorney Roysdale Ford, has challenged the seats of the parliamentary secretaries in the
Yes,
National Assembly, Vikash
yes.
Ramkisoon and Sarah Brown. And that matter was heard before the Chief Justice today, where
Mhm.
arguments were put forward. The Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Anil Nandalal, he put forward his arguments, and Roysdale Ford put forward his arguments. And the Chief Justice is slated to rule on the 20th. But you know, I remember when Keith Scott and Winston Felix were brought before the Chief Justice at the time, Ian Chang, in the same
Yeah,
a matter similar to this. And if my memory serves me correct, it was Anil Nandalal, in his capacity as lawyer at that time, not the AG, argued and said that their appointment was unconstitutional and they should not be sitting in the National Assembly. I believe it was him. I could be
mhm.
wrong. I'm subject to correction. I will be doing the research to validate what I'm saying here. But for now, what I can recall is that he was arguing against them sitting there. And today he's arguing for the two parliamentary secretaries to sit there.
Well, that's the
Now,
nature of the beast.
I think that is duplicitous, but I want to let me make it clear. I don't have the full facts of it. I'll be investigating it some more, but I've thrown it out there, Sherrod, so that people can also assist us in doing research, in familiarizing themselves with the Winston Felix and the Keith Scott matter in the
Yeah,
National Assembly. And they can see the comparison, see the similarity, and see the ruling of the Chief Justice at the time, Ian Chang, and compare it to what is transpiring now with these two parliamentary secretaries. The essence of the issue is that as long as you are on a list of candidates, as
hmm,
long as you are on a list of candidates for any elections, you cannot be selected or appointed as a technocrat minister nor a parliamentary secretary, because by virtue of being on the list, you are deemed you are deemed a potential member of parliament,
Yeah.
so to speak, because it
Yeah.
is the entire list that is elected, and you will extract
Yeah.
names to
Yeah.
fill the seats that you were given. And when the seats, if there are vacancy in any seat, you have to go back to that same list to extract the name, because that list was elected. The entire list was elected. And the law is clear. You cannot be on the list and be a parliamentary secretary. And that is what we have before us here. But like I
Well,
said,
Andrew getting old, and so like he's forgetting things.
I've introduced it, and I will like for us to pick up on it tomorrow if you have another person as your guest, to pick up on that so that the public can understand what really is transpiring, and the public can understand how it was in the PPP's interests when it comes to Winston Felix
Yeah.
and Keith Scott to remove them and to stick to the same group of rules, the same foundation, the same position. They have now flip flopped, and they're changing that view when it comes to Vikash Ramkisoon and Sarah Brown.
Yeah. As you rightfully said, this is the duplicitous PPP. Ganesh, I'm going to deal with that. I'm going to have you back on Thursday when we have Talk Back Thursday. We have members of the public calling in. Tomorrow evening, we were in the diaspora, and I have some doctors on, and we're going to be talking a little bit about COVID-19 because it's getting very serious here in Guyana. It's getting very, very serious. When you see TCI come out and say something out in the slumber, you must know where we are. It's getting very, very serious. And I have some doctors
But
from the diaspora on tomorrow.
you have to be worried also when you see TCI coming out. You know, TCI is a subset of the PPP. So
But
just now we may very well see.
but that's what I'm telling you. When they have to say something, have to rebuke the PPP about the management of COVID, you must know where we are. And so we're going to be talking about COVID-19 tomorrow. I got some doctors from the diaspora folks who don't want to be anyplace else. Thursday, we have Talk Back Thursday. Ganesh is going to be back with us, and we're going to pick up on this very, very issue of what has been happening with these parliamentary secretaries. Another issue as you call in to make your voices heard on Talk Back Thursday. But tomorrow, we're in the diaspora. Ganesh, I want to thank you, Member of Parliament, Ganesh Paul, for spending this time with us, giving us some feedback on some of these issues, inclusive of what has been happening there in Region 3. Ganesh, like you got all the trouble, some people in Region 3, because one of these parliamentary secretaries is from Region 3. So like the whole
Yes,
set of
but I
trouble,
want
some people... Is
I
the West
want to
Side
make
still the West Side?
yeah, Sharon, I wanted to make just one thing less than a minute. You know, when
Go
you said
again.
just now, it just crossed my mind when you said that the TCI came out and they made statements against the PPP. And basically, we have all established that TCI is a subset of the PPP. It is like the prince making statements against the Queen of England.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We understand. It's a duplicitous
But anyway,
bunch of people, man. Birds of a feather.
West Side
Birds
is
of
always
identical
the best side.
plumage.
West Side is always the best side.
Thanks very much, Ganesh, my Paul, Member of Parliament. Folks, continue to mask up, social distance, sanitize, watch those groups that you're in. It shouldn't be groups larger than 10. And even in those groups, make sure that you are socially distant. Folks, thanks for joining us. Do stay safe. See you tomorrow evening when we are in the diaspora. Thanks for joining, everybody. Stay safe.